Thank you so much for checking out the video. Before we get started, click on that red subscribe button and the notification bell. That way you know whenever I post a new piece of content. So today we are talking about Martin Scorsese's latest 1900s period piece drama. It's called The Killers of the Flower Moon. And two things can be true at the same time. One, Martin Scorsese is a great director. Goodfellas, Raging Bull, Taxi Driver, The Wolf of Wall Street, Casino. The guy has made The Departed. How can I even, Departed is one of my all-time favorite movies. He's an incredible director who's had an incredible run in career. So that's one thing that's true. The second thing that's true is that making a movie longer does not make it better. And nobody needs to hear this more right now than Martin Scorsese. A couple of years ago, I started this channel and I reviewed one of his films. It's called The Irishman. It was a Netflix exclusive. It was only on Netflix. And it was terrible. That movie's it's this long. It's 3.5 hours long. And it was incredibly boring. The critics loved it. And I don't know a single person who likes, quotes, or talks about that movie. Not one. Everybody I talked to about The Irishman is like, God, that movie sucked. It was way too long. And they're right. They're right. Longer doesn't necessarily equal better. Now, you can do longer and have a great movie be long. You know who could tell you that? Martin Scorsese, because I've seen The Wolf of Wall Street. That movie is 3 hours long. And I could watch it over and over and over again because it never feels like it's wasting my time. The Irishman felt like it was wasting my time. And Killers of the Flower Moon absolutely was a waste of my time. And the reason I know that is because they wrapped up the movie by explaining the fate of the characters, the major characters, in voiceover. That if you're making a movie that is 3.5 hours long and you feel like it's necessary to explain the fate of the characters in voiceover, then you are explaining to me that your movie is too long and you don't know how to manage your time and you enjoy wasting mine. So I love Scorsese. None of what happens in this undoes any of his previous works. Those movies still exist. But this is two big fat stink burgers in a row, and I don't love it, man. I don't love it. Maybe it's the studios that are giving him all this money and saying, hey, like Apple TV made this one. Apple gave him the money for this, and maybe they said to him, hey, dude, your movie's got to be 1,700 hours long or you're not getting a dime. Maybe they're trying to squeeze every penny they can out of the runtime because it certainly feels like it, and I don't know what they're paying him to make these movies, but it's clearly too much. Because he's just wasting everyone's time. So now that I've gotten that out of the way, this movie is about a series of murders that took place in Oklahoma among the Osage Indian tribe in the 1900s. And it follows a character played by Leonardo DiCaprio who gets married to an Indian woman, and his uncle is this guy who portrays this narrative about himself that he cares about the local Indian tribe and he's a man of the people, and things don't turn out as they seem in the beginning. So DiCaprio is fine. He's worked with Scorsese a lot. De Niro is fine. He's worked with Scorsese even more. And yeah, this movie, it tends to color in the details that we don't need to hear about or that we don't really care about and offer nothing to the plot. I gave you one good example of a long movie that doesn't feel long, and that was Wolf of Wall Street. I'll give you a couple more. Lord of the Rings: Return of the King. Movie is detail after detail after detail, and yet the pacing works out, and everything in that movie contributes towards the plot of the film and its conclusion. Every single second of it. Another great example, a movie that's 30 minutes longer than this one, and I can't believe I'm even bringing this up, and I'm not comparing these directors, okay? I'm not about to compare Zack Snyder to Martin Scorsese. They are not in the same league. Scorsese is a better director. But the Zack Snyder cut of the Justice League that's 4 hours long actually doesn't waste my time. And everything in that movie, yes, some of the scenes are overlong, but everything in that movie contributes towards the plot of the film. There are so many moments in this movie and Killers of the Flower Moon that don't, that it's just, none of it is necessary. And it's really sad because I love Scorsese a lot, really do. But between The Irishman and this, and the praise that's being heaped on him about these movies, and critics are not looking at these films with critical eyes. They're just not. They're ignoring a lot of major problems that these movies have, especially regarding pacing. And they're saying, hey, we're just going to have people act and put that on film and get as much of it as possible, but they're not actually doing anything to forward the cause of cinema. And it's really a disappointment. This movie sucks. And it's going to win all sorts of awards, and it doesn't deserve a single one of them, which is really, really a bummer because I wanted to like this. But when you're checking your watch consistently throughout the movie, that's never a good sign. So I've even said to myself, like, hey, I should go back and maybe revisit The Irishman, and yet I just can't do it. I can't do it. I do not have 3.5 hours of time to waste on movies, and I feel like this one wasted my time. So thanks for checking out the video. Sorry if this one's kind of a downer. I really wanted to like this movie. Big Scorsese fan all the way. The Departed is great if you haven't seen it. All those movies I mentioned are fantastic. Yeah, so hopefully I have better news about whatever I review next week, and I will see you next Wednesday at 9 a.m.